everyone, welcome back to Simply Sports Talk. Today we're going to be talking about the Jaguars all season in a whole and what to expect next season for the Jaguars, or from the Jaguars. So to start, we had a pretty good offseason. We were active in the offseason. I actually heard we spent the most money ever in free agency history, and that kind of shocked me because we got, I would say, one solidified star, that being Brandon Sheriff, but we got a bunch of guys who hopefully can pop with the Jaguars, like Christian Kirk and Zay Jones. I don't expect too much from Zay Jones, but I do somewhat have an expectation for Christian Kirk, as like UCF Jaguar said in his video, Christian Kirk possibly reset the wide receiver market. He possibly was the reason that wide receivers are now demanding 20, I would say 23, 25 plus if you're a number one receiver, as he's a number two receiver. I'll be honest, when that first report came out that he was getting that much money, it kind of shocked me. It threw me back for a loop, and I was thinking, Christian Kirk. To be honest, he was actually the receiver that I least wanted, but wouldn't be mad that we got. I wanted him the least out of Allen Robinson, Mike Williams, and them, but I wouldn't be mad that we got, because I felt like he would still be the best receiver on this team. So when he received the contract, it was an uproar on social media. Everyone started freaking out. Jaguar friends were a little hazy. Some were like, that's good, we got a receiver, and the others were a little concerned, saying we paid him too much. And so as reports came out later, we discovered that most of his money is on the back end and it's not guaranteed. So essentially, if we cut him, we wouldn't be hit too in the next few years. If we decided to cut him, we wouldn't be hit too hard in the future. So receivers, we addressed tight ends was Evan Ingram. And then we had brought in Christian Kirk and Zay Jones to help Trevor on the receiving side. We brought in Brandon Sheriff, who's the only solidified star, in my opinion, out of all these players. He's an all-pro, he's a Pro Bowl, one of the best guards in football. I was actually surprised when we got him. It somewhat made me happy. I was like, wow, we got a legit all-pro, Pro Bowler level talent and one of the best players at their position to come to Jacksonville. And we didn't break the bank to bring him. So essentially, that was the offensive side of football. We got a guard. We franchise tagged Cam, but now essentially we've signed Cam to a 3-year deal, and I have mixed feelings about it. I feel like Cam is a guy we needed to build this culture, as he's been here since 2017. However, I do feel like we slightly overpaid Cam. Maybe 16 mil would have been perfect for Cam, as he's getting paid like a top 5 to top 7 left tackle. I don't believe he's top 5 to top 7. However, you got to pay extra to keep players. You got to pay more to bring them to Jacksonville. You got to give them a reason to want to come to the back-to-back number one pick team. And speaking of number one picks, we'll address the draft, and then we'll address the draft later in this video. But as we know, our number one pick is Trayvon Walker. I have mixed feelings about that. But before we even get to that, the defensive side of the football was addressed in free agency. As we brought in Foye, he's a linebacker, and we brought in, his name is really hard, but he's a defensive tackle from the Jets. He led the league. Oh, I'm sorry, he didn't lead the league. He was one of the best run stuffers last year. Not the year before last, sorry. He was one of the best run stuffers in 2020, and he was on the Jets, and we just brought him in. I was pretty happy about that pick, as I felt we had a really bad issue with stopping the run last year. Bringing him in and bringing Foye in was a first good starting to the free agency. And I felt like we had a good free agency up until that point. But what really drove it home, and what really was a slam dunk of free agency, in my opinion, was bringing home Darius Williams, the cornerback from Jacksonville. He was born and raised in Jacksonville, who played for the Rams. He has somewhat of a winning pedigree. Like Doug Pearson, he has a winning pedigree. He's done it. He's been there. He's been to the Super Bowl. He's won a Super Bowl. He's played along the former Jaguar Jalen Ramsey. He knows what it takes to win a Super Bowl. And it's good to bring players in who've won into free agency. Into our team and into our locker room to coach these younger cornerbacks and coach all the other players and show them this is what it took for us to get this. I want to get Jacksonville here. And it just makes me so happy that he's sort of living out my dream. I dreamed of playing in the NFL and getting drafted wherever and then coming back to Jacksonville. But he's somewhat living out that dream I had as a child. And he won a Super Bowl, and he decided, I'm going to take less money to come to Jacksonville because that's my hometown. That's where I was born and raised. And that was somewhat my dream growing up. Now, that was free agency, and I felt like we had a great free agency once we signed him. And we addressed both sides of the football, getting corner. We got linebacker, as unfortunately we had let go of Miles Jack. That hurt for fans who remember the 2017 season. We let go of Miles Jack, and then we brought in a defensive tackle. So I was thinking into this draft, okay, so we franchise tag Cam. Originally, Evan Neal was one of the favorites to be the #1 pick, but we franchise tag Cam. We brought in Brandon Scherf, so we somewhat addressed the offensive line. It's not perfect. It will never be perfect, but we brought in some additional players, and we got a player who we already had signed. So I was thinking Evan Neal here or a left tackle really doesn't make sense, but I don't know who we're going to pick. And as the offseason continued and the draft was coming closer, we saw what our biggest needs were, and it was somewhat offensive line, wide receiver for sure, and edge. Those were the three primary positions. Players and fans of the team were saying, we need this, we need that for our team. And so essentially what happened was there were two players who got narrowed down to be the #1 pick. They ruled out Evan and they ruled out Akeem. And they said the two players that will be the #1 pick most likely will be Aiden Hutchinson or Trayvon Walker. Now, majority of the draft, coming up to the draft, until I would say the last final 5 days, 3 to 5 days, it was Aiden Hutchinson. He led the league, he led Vegas odds to be the #1 pick. And then I was extremely concerned when I heard Trent Baalke really liked Trayvon Walker, and I was extremely concerned when I saw Trayvon Walker now became the favorite. So we picked Trayvon Walker. And initially I was extremely upset. However, I've had days to reflect and think about it, and honestly, I believe after hearing the interview, I heard it was Trent Baalke, Shad Khan, Doug Peterson, and it was Trayvon Walker. And essentially in the interview, they were saying, yes, we realize that he played all these positions in college. However, we want to play him at one position. We want to play him at defensive end or the edge rusher position. And we want to perfect that before we move forward with the moving him around. So he will be a versatile piece in the future, but for now, we want to get him acclimated to the Jaguar culture, to the playbook, get him used to the scheme, and we want him to perfect this specific position and develop extra pass rush moves to be successful in this league. Now, when I heard that, I was thinking, maybe this guy has potential. Maybe he has potential if he just focuses on being a defensive end. Maybe he has potential to be someone who could be special. Maybe he has all the tools and traits, but he just needs the pass rushing tools to get to the quarterback. Now, we drafted him, and I was a little concerned, but then we drafted Devin Lloyd. I was really happy with the Devin Lloyd pick, as I saw. Like I said, I trust Joel Klatt, and he was ranked number 8 on the big board of top 50 players, and that really gave me somewhat a glimmer of hope. They gave me somewhat hope as I saw he was ranked in the top 10. I was thinking, wow, Joe Klatt thinks he's top 10 player, then that means we got a steal. We picked him at 27. That means we potentially have gotten a steal in the draft. So that was day 1. But day 2 came, and we traded our 2nd round pick and our 4th round pick to move up to we moved up 27th pick in the draft, the 1st round, and that's when we picked Devin Lloyd. But we traded away our 2nd round pick, which was the 1st pick in the 2nd round. And I'm going to be honest, I did want Christian Watson, but I'm not mad with what happened in the 3rd round. We opted to go for a guard and a center. Guard, center, he played both positions. He could play both. And I was initially confused, but I did more research and I realized, okay, this guy's legit. This guy is legit. He could be someone who is, I would say, a good starter. I would say he could be qualified as a good starter in the future, hopefully. And now with our 2nd, 3rd round pick, we opted to go for a linebacker. Now, the entire time that we skipped on Nakobe Dean, I was concerned and I was thinking, why don't we add Nakobe and Devin Lloyd? That'd be an insane linebacker core. But then after we picked the Muma, his name is Muma. He's a white linebacker, and he played for, I'm not sure what team he played for, but I realized he was a linebacker, and I was concerned, and I was thinking, why did we pass up on Nakobe Dean? He won the Buck Kitts Award. He was one of the best linebackers in football, or in college football. And then I realized, oh, this guy, he didn't want to get surgery. And the Jaguars just was not taking that chance. He didn't want to get surgery on his injured, I think it was his pec and arm, somewhere on his arm, pec and arm. He refused to get surgery, and so that raised major concerns, and that is why he was a 1st-round grade. However, teams continued to pass on him, along with him being undersized. He is an undersized player, so that is also a concern, and that was a recipe for him to falling in the draft, and he fell. He fell harder than I expected him to fall. Now, with the other picks, we essentially got depth. In those positions. We got 2 corners in the 6th and 7th round, and we just essentially fill little holes. We'll see how those guys pan out in the future with the Jaguars. But overall, I would say we had a pretty good offseason. We addressed the offense and we addressed the offense more in free agency, and we somewhat addressed the defense in the draft. Potentially, the Jaguars could be scary, but I do believe we'll fall between 7, 8 wins, 6, 7, 8 wins. That's progress as we went from 1 win to 3 win to maybe 7 wins. That would be considered progress, and potentially not this year, but the next year, if we continue to build on this culture and this team, then maybe we'll be threats. It'll be Trevor's third year. This is his sophomore year, so we would still have 2 more additional years to get it done and get a Super Bowl before we have to play Trevor Lawrence. Now, thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. This is Simply Sports Talk signing out. Bye.